Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the weather warnings as we actually have a thunderstorm warning issued overnight tonight into tomorrow, as we are seeing some heavy thunderstorms break out, as we are seeing a cold front sweep pretty warm mild air that we've seen over the weekend, pushing that away. We also have some rain warnings issued for later this working week, as we are going to see some very warm, hot air arrive for southern areas and towards the northern edge where it does collide with lower pressure across Scotland. We could see some quite persistent rainfall. So have a look at those weather warnings. We'll run through the UKV, look at the precipitation and the temperatures over the next 5 days, as we can just about now start to get into the weekend where we are going to be seeing temperatures getting up to some pretty ridiculous levels for October. We're looking at widely low 20s, locally even into the mid-20s, 26 or 27 degrees is possible. Then we'll have a look at the GFS, GM, ECM WF and the Ensembles, looking at the latest for the very warm, hot weather arriving this weekend, but also having a look at what's going to be happening beyond that, as we are starting to see signs that there could be some more amplification of the jet stream as we head into the middle of October, which could allow more southerly warm spells, but equally some runs are even showing some colder, more potent northerly winds, perhaps bringing the arrival of the first frosts of the season. So we'll explore that in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, to start on the live radar, you can see the cold front we do have at the moment moving in. Now, in the southeast corner, we've got the thunderstorms breaking out. We've got very warm, humid, sticky air, and that's allowed these thunderstorms to break out. Now, they were a little bit more intense earlier in the afternoon, around the 4 or 5 p.m. point. And if we do wind it back, hopefully we'll be able to see them slightly more intense earlier on. But they are still breaking out as we speak across parts of East Anglia, and we have, as I said, got a warning issued for that. So if we can run it back to maybe around 6 o'clock, you can see lines of thunderstorms breaking out across the London area into Essex, East Anglia. Now wider areas of rainfall, and you can see the main weather front is moving slowly southwards and eastwards, but also the thunderstorms losing a little bit of intensity and their widespread nature. But you can still see some lively cells breaking out across parts of the Midlands and east to East Anglia over the next couple of hours. This rainfall will eventually clear through and reduce in intensity as it does, giving all areas a fresher, brighter day tomorrow. Now, if you look at the temperatures, it's around 8 p.m. as I'm recording this, but still look at the yellows and oranges in the southeast within the muggy air, just showing you the warm air mass. And you can see the blues further northwards and westwards, the colder, more Atlantic, fresher air mass moving in. Again, it's not actually that cold, it's pretty much average air for the time of year, but it's substantially cooler than the very warm air we have in the southeast at the moment. Now, if you look at the weather warnings, you can see this thunderstorm warning that was issued earlier this afternoon around 4:30, so pretty much a nowcast warning, and it expires at 2 a.m. Now, we did anticipate there being some heavy showers around today. We have said that in the last couple of videos, but to be honest, I didn't expect the thunderstorms to be as active as they were this afternoon, where we did see some really quite lively storms, and to be honest, neither did the Met Office, only issuing this warning through the afternoon as the storm started to occur. So you see here, thunderstorms and frequent lightning have already affected parts of the warning area, and these will continue into the evening in places. An increased risk of longer-lasting, intense downpours too, especially later this evening and further east across the warning area, for example, towards South Lincolnshire, East Anglia. So that's what we're starting to see develop at the moment, with larger areas of heavy rain but less active cells. So more rainfall but less lightning and less real torrential rainfall rates. These storms are likely to be focused in relatively narrow bands, so some places will miss the worst, while a few locations may catch 25 to 50 millimetres of rain within 2 to 3 hours, also with frequent lightning and gusty winds, high likelihood, lower end of the impact matrix. Now, if we also go back to the live radar, we'll be able to see the last 24-hour precipitation, and you'll be able to see there's been lots of persistent rain further northwards and westwards, but you can see where the thunderstorms have moved through earlier this afternoon, from down near the Bournemouth, Salisbury area, through Andover, Reading, Watford, near Luton, St Albans, all the way up towards East Anglia, near Great Yarmouth. This is the line of where we saw some thunderstorms develop earlier, and they're continuing to develop across parts of the East Anglia and East Midlands. So you can just see how regional and how variable the rainfall rates are. And you see even some yellow pockets developing where some real intense cells broke out for quite a period of time. We also do have other weather warnings issued later this week. So we've got Tuesday, the warning is issued about into the early hours, so it doesn't really impact most of Tuesday. But Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, we have rain warnings for Scotland. Now first, a rain warning for most of Wednesday. Heavy rain on Wednesday, cause some destruction, high impact, low likelihood. Heavy and in places persistent rain is expected to develop on Wednesday across west-facing hills. 25 to 50 millimetres could fall widely across the warning area, perhaps as high as 70 millimetres. And the Thursday warnings, a large area covering pretty much all of western Scotland from 3 p.m. on Thursday until midnight on Friday. Again, more heavy and persistent rain, 25 to 50 millimetres for quite a few areas, 75 millimetres in a few locations, and over the West Highlands, 75 to 125, maybe even in excess of 150 millimetres in a few spots. Ridiculous amounts of rainfall, really. High impact, low likelihood, and it's all because we're seeing low pressure coming off the Atlantic with a weather front that pretty much stays stationary because we've got warm air pushing up from the south, giving drier and very warm conditions in the south, but unfortunately causing a lot of rain further northwards. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see the heavier rain and thunderstorms breaking out earlier this afternoon and continuing into the evening. The UKV actually developed them slightly further northwards where they actually broke out, and didn't really break them out too much in the afternoon. So even the UKV was a little bit wrong with these storms. Even the latest run that only ran a few hours ago was wrong. Now, beyond that, you see the rainfall eventually clears, and into tomorrow is going to be a day of sunshine and showers more likely further northwards and westwards towards the fresher air mass. But as we head into Wednesday, we start to see rain move back in for northern areas, and this is where we start to see that rainfall band stay pretty stationary. It doesn't really move much of this rain for most of Wednesday, and you see reinforcements arrive for Thursday, giving more very heavy rain, continuing all the way into Friday and even into parts of Saturday, as we see that warm, humid air arrive in the south. And remember, I'm speeding through these graphs quite quickly, but this is 48 hours worth of precipitation here. And you can see much of western Scotland has very, very little breaks. Now, the reason for this is if we have a look at the upper air temperatures, you can see fresher air in for most of Wednesday, but by Thursday, warm air arriving behind the weather front initially, and eventually we see another cold front move in. So we see a warm front, a brief respite, and then a cold front start to build in, but the cold front stays pretty stationary as hot air dominates in the south. Look at an 18 or 19 degree isotherm for southern England. We'd be looking at mid-30s or even high 30s if we're in the middle of summer. But unfortunately, we're heading towards the middle of October, the middle of autumn, times where we start to expect our first frosts for areas in the north. It means temperatures most likely will only peak around the mid-20s. The temperature record is 29.9 degrees, and that was observed on the 1st of October. So really, pretty much just about creeping into the period of October. And remember, every single day we lose about 3 or 4 minutes of sunshine, and we're losing strength in the sun. So daylight hours and strength in the sun means pretty much every day it gets even more difficult to see warmer temperatures. So if we had seen these upper temperatures a week or 2 weeks ago, most likely we would have seen the high 20s or even 30 degrees. But if we do look at the max temperatures, we'll be able to see what the latest UKV is showing. And you can see into tomorrow, fresher air, widely mid-teens, low teens in some spots, maybe just about high teens in a few others. As we head into Wednesday, we start to see temperatures once again around the mid to maybe high teens at best, or low teens further northwards, and into Thursday, starting to recover a little bit more high teens in the far southeast, and by Friday, we're starting to get into the 20s, widely 18 to 20 degrees across much of England and Wales, perhaps even getting up towards 21, 22 or 23 degrees possibly in the east. And then into Saturday, we're seeing widely low 20s, 20 to 23 degrees, and again could peak at 24, 25, or maybe even 26. And Sunday is another day of a lot of warmth, and that could go a degree or two higher, maybe 26, 27, and it can't even rule out a 28. But I do think, from the looks of it, it is highly unlikely we do reach the all-time October temperature record of 29.9 degrees. I do think that is a little bit out of reach. These sort of synoptics are perfect, but we pretty much need to see these sort of synoptics on like the 1st or 2nd October to really have a chance. And need days of warmth to build up again. The ground is pretty saturated, and little things like that can make half a degree of difference. And that all it does affect it when we're looking at all-time temperature records. But regardless, it's going to be a very warm, stunning weekend for many areas across England and Wales, feeling like we're in the middle of summer once again. Now, if you look at the latest from the longer-term runs, we can see how this hot spell or warm spell develops and what could happen beyond it. You can see the high pressure building in and the southerly flow arriving from Europe, and you can see the insanely hot air arriving around the 15 to 20 degree isotherm moves in, as we saw UKV showing the 18-19 degree isotherm moving in, looking very warm all the way to around Tuesday time, before eventually it does get pushed away by fresher Atlantic air. But look, it's not just average air, it's actually pretty cold air. The -5 isotherm is actually getting pretty close to Scotland here, and this is because we're seeing more amplification in the jet stream. Remember, we've put on upper air temperatures here, but if you look at the 500 HPA geopotential heights, you can see all the areas of yellow developing towards Greenland, showing big amplification, even some blocking patterns developing, and it could mean we could even see some northerly winds as we head into the middle of October. Again, GFS has a go at it, not getting anything directly off, but a couple of the runs recently have shown some quite potent colder patterns into middle October, a pattern that would give snow showers perhaps for Scotland and some frost in northern areas as well. So we've got to really keep an eye on that, as it could go from very warm summer-like to winter-like in the matter of only a few days potentially if this sort of pattern did come off. Now, if you compare to the GEM, again, we'll put on the upper air temperatures to see just about how hot it can get next weekend. Again, you see those upper air temperatures move in. Look at that air mass. It is ridiculously warm. Again, if we look at the United Kingdom view, 19 degree isotherm coming in. It'll be very interesting to see if any runs actually show the 20 degree isotherm, because that would be absolutely ridiculous. We've struggled prior to the last couple of years. We'd see the 20 degree isotherm in the middle of summer over parts of southern England, maybe a couple of times every decade, and now we're seeing it almost into the middle of October. Pretty ridiculous, I must say so, indeed. But yeah, that eventually does get shoved away by an Atlantic air mass, and once again, very similar to the GFS, we actually see quite a potent northerly wind starting to develop in the longer term. You can see the temperature deviation, some very cold blues starting to move in, and at least this would be a transient northerly wind. Maybe not a direct northerly, but more of a transient northerly potentially. But regardless, still would produce some colder couple of days with frosts and maybe even some wintry showers. Now finally, if we compare to the ECM WF, once again, seeing the very warm air move in towards the end of this working week, insanely hot all the way through the weekend, but getting swept away quite quickly onto Monday, whereas some of the other runs kept it in until Tuesday. So a bit of uncertainty with the exact timings of the fresher air moving in, and then day 10 once again seeing a fresher, cold, northerly wind moving in, and look at that, well below average. And if we actually put on the 2 metre temperatures, wouldn't be surprised to see temperatures falling maybe much lower than what we're seeing here. If we do go to here, the 2 metre temperatures here, you can see getting to potentially around freezing or so, getting down towards the low single digits there, and again in sheltered areas down towards freezing. So pretty cold conditions coming in from this latest GFS, latest ECM WF run. Will be very interesting to see if we could potentially even see a frost in around a week or 10 days time. But if we do finish by looking at the ensembles, you can see we're at a warm air mass now, dropping towards average, and then we see an even bigger climb up into the weekends, or at least later this week. The GFS is actually a little bit pessimistic. Even the ECM WF is a couple of degrees warmer than this, and you can see it does hold on to the heat for a number of days. Some runs drop off after maybe 2 or 3 days, others hold on for longer. So there is a little bit of uncertainty with that. But into the longer term, loads of scatter. Some runs down to -5, others back up towards 15, so anything to play for really. But interestingly, seeing some of these cold runs that we haven't seen, as I said, for like 6-7 months now, going all the way back to sort of April time, the last time we started, or maybe May, so 5-6 months last time we started to see the potential of the -5 isotherm. Could be seeing it return potentially into the middle of October with more precipitation. 2 metre temperatures as well, looking very warm, looking at mid-20s next weekend, looking quite likely before the drop off. The dew point's looking pretty high, nothing as high as right now, so not quite as humid, as unstable as right now, but still warm and fairly muggy. And if we finish by looking at the ECM WF ensembles, you can see even how these go even higher. Quite a few of these runs up towards the 18, 19, or even 20 degree mark come Saturday and Sunday before dropping off quite a bit faster than the other runs, back towards average, and again having quite a lot of scatter into the longer term. So it's looking very warm from around Friday through to Sunday, maybe even into Monday and Tuesday next week as well. Looking like we're going to see a real final taste of summer. Again, I've been saying this for about a couple of weeks now, that at some point this warmth is going to run out and we are going to get into proper autumn and winter weather. But we've got one more spell of heat coming in. We can't rule out something maybe in later parts of October, early November, a bit of an Indian summer, maybe 20 degrees. Can't rule that out, but really this is the last few days of the end of summer, really, end of any summery temperatures at all for probably the next 6 months. So do cherish the next 7 to 10 days. It's going to be warm. It's not going to be insanely warm. The upper air temperatures are ridiculous from a meteorological standpoint, but at the surface, most people just appreciate the very warm summer-like temperatures for many areas. Unfortunately, Scotland may miss out on it, perhaps through Thursday, Friday, maybe into Saturday, but hopefully you'll see some warmth as well. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again for another video soon.